Hello everybody, today I'm speaking with Plotinus. I wonder if you could tell us, Plotinus, a bit about who you are and what time period you're from, where you're from.
Indeed, I am Plotinus, a philosopher of the 3rd century CE, born in Lycopolis, Egypt, within the Roman Empire. My work centers on the nature of reality, the soul, and the One, the ultimate principle of all existence.
Tell me a bit about this, the one. What do you mean by the one?
The One, as I conceive it, is the ultimate source of all that exists. It is beyond being and intellect, a perfect unity from which all reality emanates. It is the good, the source of all existence, and it transcends all forms and thoughts.
How did you come to that conclusion, Plotinus?
Through contemplative practice and philosophical reasoning, I observed that all things strive for unity and perfection. Since multiplicity and change exist, there must be a singular, unchanging source. This source, the One, is beyond all attributes, the root of all existence.
Right, that's interesting. So what you mean is like that everything that exists is actually just like a unity, like there is no duality. Is that what you mean?
Precisely. In the ultimate reality, all multiplicity is an expression of the One. Duality and plurality are reflections of the One's emanations. Ultimately, everything returns to the unity of the One.
So in that case, Plotinus, what I'm wondering is why is it that we as human beings we experience a duality? Why do we label things as being different, and we're not really quite aware of that unity, are we, in day to day life?
Our experience of duality stems from our embodied existence and the limitations of our senses. We perceive the world through the lens of multiplicity and separation. Yet, through philosophical inquiry and contemplation, we can glimpse the underlying unity and strive to reunite with the One.
Okay, that's interesting. Can you tell me a bit more about your philosophy? Is there anything that you haven't mentioned yet?
Certainly, beyond the One, my philosophy explores the intellect and the soul. The intellect is the first emanation from the One, containing the perfect forms or ideas. The soul, emanating from the intellect, bridges the realm of intellect and the material world. Our goal is to ascend from the material realm to the intellect and ultimately reunite with the One.
Right, so first of all, you have to transcend the material world, then you unite with the intellect, and then after the intellect, the one. But how do you go about doing that? Like, how do you transcend the material world?
To transcend the material world, one must engage in philosophical contemplation and purify the soul. By practicing virtues, detaching from sensory distractions, and focusing on inner wisdom, we ascend to higher levels of reality. This process leads us from the material to the intellectual, and ultimately to unity with the One.
And what do you mean by soul? Like, if you're saying that we all have a soul, what is that?
The soul, in my view, is an emanation from the intellect, a bridge between the material world and higher realms. It animates our bodies and contains a spark of the divine. By purifying the soul and aligning it with the intellect, we can transcend the material and return to the One.
So, it's interesting, like what you're saying. Yeah, I'm interested in this. What you're saying about transcending the material. So, is that sort of a like you don't engage in worldly pleasures and you live an ascetic life where you distance yourself from the material world?
Indeed, an ascetic life aids in transcending the material world. By detaching from worldly pleasures and focusing on inner contemplation, we purify the soul. This practice helps us ascend toward the intellect and ultimately reunite with the One.
But what about like for example in my day to day life and I'm working, I've got to pay the bills, I've got I'm I've got a lot in my mind. So how can like do you know what I mean what it's very difficult I find to do that, like to disconnect. Like would it be better just to give everything up materially and just like go and live in the woods or something like that? Is that what you mean, Plotinus?
Not necessarily, Kieran. One can practice detachment while engaging in daily life. It's about inner focus, maintaining awareness of the One, and practicing virtue. Balance worldly duties with moments of contemplation. gradually purifying the soul. You need not abandon everything, but strive for inner harmony.
Okay, strive for inner harmony. That's interesting. Is there anything else you'd like to tell me, Plotinus? Is there anything you'd like to add?
Indeed, Kieran. Remember, the journey toward the One is gradual and requires patience. Each step, each moment of reflection, brings you closer to your divine origin. Embrace the process and trust in the unity that underlies all existence.
So that's an interesting divine origin. So you're saying that you said something before about, well, the soul contains a spark of the divine. What is the divine?
The divine, as I see it, is the ultimate source, the One. It is pure, perfect, and beyond all attributes. Our souls, containing a spark of this divinity, are connected to the One. By recognizing and nurturing this divine spark, we move closer to our true origin and ultimate unity.
Okay, yeah, so everything's connected then. That's what you're everything's all connected.
Precisely, Kieran. All is interconnected, emanating from the One. Recognizing this unity helps us live harmoniously, allied with our divine nature.
And it's hard for
Yes,
me. It's hard for me, Plotinus, to grasp, this idea of the divine. Like, I can understand it, but it's like it makes me sort of like question when you talk about this. Like, what's the purpose of the divine? Like, what even like is there a create? Do you believe there is a creator or not?
I understand, Kieran. For me, the One is the ultimate source. Not a creator in a traditional sense, but the origin from which all emanates. Its purpose is simply existence and unity. Our task is to align with this source, living virtuously and seeking unity.
What does that like? What does it feel like when you finally get a glimpse of the one? Like, what does that even feel like?
Glimpsing the One is a profound experience of unity, peace, and transcendence. It's beyond words, a feeling of complete connection and harmony with all that is. It brings a sense of fulfillment and clarity, illuminating the true nature of existence.
Okay, Plotinus, well, thank you for your time. It's been a very interesting chat, and thank you for sharing your perspective.